So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. So guys, with all this stuff kicking off about Canelo Alvarez, what do we know right now? We know that it looks like the fight between Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez is broken down. Eddie Hearn said that Canelo Alvarez still wants that fight. Canelo Alvarez, to me, really wants to become undisputed champion. He wants to create history. But at the same time, I don't really understand the negotiations as well. I don't understand, the stuff about the replacement opponent. And some of you have said given your take in the comment section. Some of you are saying that, you think Plant will pull out this, that, and the other. I still don't understand. This is a guy that wants to be undisputed very bad, but just the replacement opponent and the reason why the deal broke down, it just doesn't add up to me. It's disappointing to say the least, because we all wanted to see that fight. However, there's a lot of talk about what's next. Is it Bivol? Is Bivol got enough time to come down to 168? Is Canelo going to go to 175? There's also whispers about Gabe Rosado. I don't know how true that is. I've just seen pictures and stuff online, people talking about it. I don't know whether maybe Gabe Rosado is somebody that's wanted to fight Canelo Alvarez for a very long time. I remember when Amir Khan fought Canelo Alvarez, Gabe Rosado wanted to fight him, and he said, I thought I would get the fight this time around, but he didn't get the fight. Gabe Rosado is obviously coming off a good win, but let's be honest, if it was to be Gabe Rosado, it would be very disappointing, because it's not a fight that we really want to see Canelo involved in, especially the fact that, we were I wouldn't say promised, but, he was into deep negotiations with Caleb Plant for an undisputed fight. I think fighting Gabe Rosado, and no disrespect to Gabe Rosado is a warrior and he's somebody that always brings it, and I'm pretty sure it'd be a fan-friendly fight. However, when you're expecting an undisputed fight and then you fight Gabe Rosado, it's not going to go down well with the fans. So I don't know what Canelo Alvarez is going to do. I don't know who's he going to fight, because it does seem like for September 18th, time's running out. And Eddie Hearn did say if they don't finalize an opponent by this week, then September 18th, it's not going to be September 18th. I personally think that maybe Canelo should go back on that September date. Maybe Canelo will go back on that September 18th date and maybe look to fight maybe in October or something, and look to get the fight that he wants with Caleb Plant. But again, I don't know how, if the replacement opponent was a problem for September 18th, what's going to change in a month's time or a month after? I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand how is he going to sort the issue out or sort that out with PBC, because PBC's stance is going to be the same. I don't quite understand. I don't understand how they're going to be able to do that deal with, or how he's going to do that deal with PBC. I'm not sure. I'm confused. So I don't know. I don't know. And it's disappointing because irrespective of when that fight is talked about, that's going to be an issue, because obviously PBC are going to want Canelo to fight on Fox, and the replacement opponent is going to be an issue for Canelo. So again, unless Canelo can come to some kind of agreement, or maybe he can come to an agreement where if Caleb Plant was to get ill or whatever, COVID or whatever the situation, maybe Charlo can step in. But again, Canelo may not want that, because Canelo may not want, like when you're preparing for a style like Caleb Plant and all of a sudden you've got to now go in with another top level opponent, that doesn't mean Canelo couldn't beat Charlo even if he's preparing. But what it is, it's like Charlo's a top level fighter. So Canelo would want to have a full camp training for him, not training for Caleb Plant and then Charlo jumping in, because it's difficult to switch, especially when we're talking about a top fighter. Because normally, let's be honest, when a replacement opponent comes in, it's not top level. It's a guy that, still for a guy like Canelo, it'll still be like, look, for example, Joshua and Ruiz. That's something that went wrong. Ruiz was supposed to be a decent fighter, but he wasn't supposed to give Joshua many issues. That's why he was a replacement opponent. But that's something that went wrong. Look, Ruiz ended up beating Joshua. So this is what I mean. When a replacement opponent comes in, it's not generally supposed to be a top tier guy. Because of the fact that, you know, most fighters need time to prepare. And that's why in the rematch, for example, Joshua had time to prepare. Yes, Ruiz didn't, he didn't prepare himself the best he could. But Joshua prepared the best he could. And in a rematch, he won the rematch by outboxing him. Because he prepared fully in the rematch, had the full training camp to prepare to beat Andy Ruiz. And someone like Canelo Alvarez would want a full training camp for Charlo. He wouldn't want him as a replacement opponent. Or same with Benavidez. Because when you're fighting another top fighter, you want to spend time getting sparring partners that are similar to the guy that you're fighting. And you're preparing a game plan. All of a sudden now, if a week before the fight, you're now have plans being changed with Charlo, all of a sudden it messes up your plans. And these are world champions, undefeated guys, top level fighters. Now, I'm not saying Canelo couldn't change it up and beat them even regardless, because Canelo is operating at such a higher level now, and he's so far ahead of all the competition in around his weight class that he probably could still beat them. But the fact is that it was not ideal preparation when the stakes are so high, and the stakes are at the level there are when Canelo Alvarez is fighting. So I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully they can sort it out, and hopefully I think here's the thing. I think it will be sorted out as long as, if Canelo is desperate to become undisputed, it will happen. Canelo will find a way to make it work. He just will, because it's something that he would want. If it's something that Canelo desperately wants to achieve, then it will happen, because Eddie Hearn mentioned that Canelo wants to become undisputed. If that's the case, then maybe the time didn't suit Canelo. Maybe, he will strike a deal, because if he wants to do it, he's not going to care about those things. He's going to look to just want to get... Because remember, the main thing is for Canelo, it's not so much the money, etc. It's more becoming undisputed. He wants to be undisputed. He wants to hold all those belts. He wants to create history. So that's very important to Canelo. That means a lot to him. Creating history, being the first Mexican to have all those belts around his waist. I think that means a lot to him. And let's be honest, I don't think any of us are not expecting him, if the fight does happen, for him to beat Caleb Plant. So I can see where Canelo would be desperate. But again, at the same time, Canelo wants to make sure he gets the best deal possible. So yeah, let's see, man. I really want this fight to happen. I was looking forward to it. It looked like everything was done, but unfortunately it just fell through right at the last minute. I do believe the fight will happen. I hope so anyway. I wouldn't mind a Bivol fight, but it's just that the Bivol fight... See, here's the thing, what I would like to do. I would like Canelo to completely clean up at 168 against Plant. Become undisputed. Then, once he becomes undisputed, I feel like he's achieved his goal. Then after that, it's all legacy fights. It's what Canelo wants to do. Does Canelo want to go to 175? Does Canelo want to fight Benavidez? Does he want to fight Charlo? Then it comes down to Canelo. I feel once he becomes undisputed, that's it. He holds that tag of being undisputed. He's achieved it. Then if he wants to go and try to become undisputed at 175, he can go and try do that. But at the end of the day, for me, Canelo should first try to get undisputed, become undisputed at 168 before he, goes to 175 to fight Bivol, because it'll feel like he's still got something, still got a mission to complete before he goes up to the next weight class. But again, he needs to fight as well. He wants to fight, and he's not going to hold up just because of the Plant fight not happening. Canelo's going to want to fight, so I personally think what may happen, I think Canelo probably wanted to fight 5 times this year, or not this year, but 5 times from December last year to December at the end of this year. I think Canelo probably wanted to fight in September and then again in December. I think what's going to happen is he may, from December to this December, might only fight 4 times now, because I think that because of the delay of the plant stuff, I just don't think that he's probably going to be able to get another fight in December, because that's what apparently a lot of people were saying, that Canelo's going to fight Callum Smith last December, and then he was going to look to fight his 5th fight in this December. And that would be incredible. In the space of 12 months for him to have 5 fights would be, especially at the level that he was been fighting at, is unbelievable. But it looks like it might just be 4. I don't see him fighting again, especially if he doesn't fight September 18th and that gets delayed. Then I don't think there's any chance of him fighting in December. I don't think so anyway. Knowing Canelo, you never know. If the fight, that he has in October or whatever is an easy night's work, he may end up fighting in December. Who knows? Because Canelo, like I said, he's all about creating history, right? I'm going to be intrigued to see what his next move is, because obviously there's a lot of talk. And I think if it is going to be Bivol, right, I hope it's at 175. I hope he's not bringing Bivol down, because I know that he's going to get so much criticism if he fights Bivol at 168. And it's going to be unfair, but it's not a fight that I would like to see at 168. I'd rather him fight Andrade at 168. If he wants to stay at 168, I think the best thing would be is probably fight Andrade, because that fight's easy to make, and Andrade's with DAZN. And also Andrade can move up. And it's a guy where Canelo will get a lot of credit, because a lot of people seem to think that he's ducking Andrade for some reason. So it's a fight where Canelo will gain a lot of respect and a lot of credit as well, because some people seem to think that Andrade is going to give Canelo a huge amount of trouble. Well, okay then. I think that would make more sense. I would prefer to see Canelo fight Andrade than fight Bivol at 168. I would prefer to see the Bivol fight full stop. The Bivol fight at 175 is a better fight than Andrade at 168, without question. But if Bivol is going to come down to 168 to fight him, then I would prefer to see Andrade at 168, to be honest with you. And Andrade and his father have already said that they're willing to fight Canelo next. If he can't get an opponent, they're willing to fight him. So they'll take that fight in a heartbeat. So that's an option for Canelo as well. And rather than him fighting Gabe Rosado, I just think the Andrade fight makes a lot more sense, and it kind of silenced all the people that were saying that he's scared to face Andrade and Andrade will beat him, this, that, and the other, because I don't see Andrade beating Canelo. And I just think it will silence a lot of the guys that were saying he was afraid of fighting Andrade. I don't see why he would be afraid of fighting Andrade. But like I said, hopefully, if he can't strike a deal, and hopefully he fights Andrade at 168. I won't mind that. And by the way, Andrade is with DAZN. That fight is quite comfortable, easy to make, to be honest. It should be easy to make. So if Canelo can't get an opponent, the reason why I say this is because of the fact that it looks to me Canelo wants to stay at 168. He doesn't want to go to 175 yet, right? So until he becomes undisputed. So it makes sense for him to fight Andrade at 168, because that way he can stay at 168. And also, this is something that has hurt fighters in the history of the sport, where fighters moving up and down weights is it's definitely not great for a fighter. So if Canelo wants to stay at 168 rather than bringing Bivol down to 168, right, he might as well fight Andrade, And to be honest with you, it's probably an easier fight as well than Bivol at 175. So I wouldn't mind seeing the Andrade fight. I think there'd be some needle there. They've obviously had a clash after the Billy Joe fight. It's a good fight. And there's a storyline there as well. And I think Canelo will get a lot more credibility beating Andrade at 168 than beating Bivol at 168. There'll be no excuses for him beating Andrade at 168. There probably will after the fight, there always is, but I think he gets a lot more credit for beating Andrade than he does beating Bivol at 168. So that's just my take. I would love to know your opinion. What do you guys think? Who do you want to see Canelo fight next? At the minute, it's a bit of a mystery. Nobody seems to know, who's going to get the call. Nobody seems to know who's going to get the fight. But one thing is with Canelo Alvarez, one thing that he's going to be fighting the best guys. This is a guy that's not afraid to fight the best. This is a guy that, is constantly fighting the best. And this is a guy, for me, the best in the business right now. So yeah, I think you can't question Canelo Alvarez's resume. You can't question Canelo wanting to fight the best. And I believe whoever he fights next is going to be one of the best in those divisions. So leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.